Hi, in this video we're going to talk about linear equations, and we're going to start in at different places, whether that's starting with 2 points or starting with a point slope form or a standard form. In this video, all we're going to do is we're going to work our way to slope intercept form. That is the most useful of the forms when it comes to graphing. So whatever information we're starting with, we're gonna end up with slope intercept form. So that's the name of the game, what we're trying to do. We have the hexagon here. You have it in your resources folder on Classroom, so you can take a look at that. And once again, we're gonna get these and we're gonna write them all in slope intercept form. We're gonna do a handful of problems here starting with different things. So the first one we're gonna look at, if you take a look at this, you see that we have 2 points. So take a look at your hexagon, see where you're starting. You're starting at 2 points. With 2 points, we can find slope. If we have a point and a slope, we can then go to point slope form. And if we have point slope form, we just solve for y to get into slope intercept form. So it's going to be a few steps. So that's what we're looking at here with this one. We've got 2 points. Really, these also happen to be the x and the y intercepts if you're looking at that, but to get from here to here, you do virtually nothing. So it's really, we're starting with 2 points. So starting at 2 points, we have that. What we're going to use is we're going to use the slope formula. So we're going to say that my slope is going to end up being y2, 0, minus y1. So 0 minus 5. x2 is 10 minus 0. And we can subtract that out. I got negative 5 over 10, which I know is negative 1/2. So I know my slope is, negative 1/2. Let's create a little real estate over here. So I've got my points and I've got my slope. So now we need to decide. We're going to put this in point slope form. So we need to pick a point and we're going to pick a slope. Let's just pick the point 0, 5. So we're going to put this in point slope form. So we went from here to here. Now we're going to go from here to here. Remember, your y goes into the y spot, your x goes into the x1 spot, and your m goes into the m spot. So y1, x1, and m. That's where we're putting our numbers here. So it's going to be y minus 5 equals my negative 1/2 and x minus 0. So this now is point slope form. If you look at the form, you've got y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We are now done with point slope form. And now to get from point slope to slope intercept, we've talked about solving for y. So we just want to get that y by itself. So we're going to go down here and we're going to look and we're going to see that we got the negative 1/2 that's going to get distributed through the parentheses. So this y minus 5 just hangs out for now. I've got negative 1/2 x from this part, and then negative 1/2 times 0 is 0, so no further action necessary on that side until we add this 5 to get the y by itself. So now we have a y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. So now if you look at this, we have now gone from 2 points to slope, slope to point slope form, and point slope form to slope intercept form. So this is of the form y equals mx plus b. So now we know that my slope intercept form is going to be negative 1/2 x plus 5. And we're going to talk about graphing that in future lessons, but that's where we want to end up right now. We're going to start at 2 points or at one of these other forms of the equations, and we're going to work our way back to slope intercept form. Let's look at another example. You've got this. Once again, we're starting at 2 points on the line. So once again, we're starting here, and we're going to work our way. We're going to find slope. We're going to use the slope formula to find slope, use the slope and a point to put it in point slope form, and then we're going to solve for y to get into that slope intercept form. So let's go ahead and set sail with this. So I know that my slope is going to be y2 minus y1, y2 minus y1, so 2 minus 4, negative 5, minus a negative 4. So my slope now is going to be negative 2 over negative 1, which comes out to 2. So I know my slope is 2. So when I look at this, it's up to me to decide which point I want to use with that. And just continuing on with this, let's just use this one. So we've got this point and we've got this slope. Now we're going to go and we're going to put it into point slope form. So we found the slope. We're going to go to point slope form. So we're going to use this y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So it's going to be y minus 4 equals 2 times x minus a negative 4. Now, if you look at this and you say, hey, that doesn't really look right, you are right, because minus a negative can be the same as plus. So subtracting a negative is the same as adding. So now you look at this and you say y minus 4 equals 2 times x plus 4. This is my point slope form. So now we are here. We need to get to slope intercept form. And how are we going to do that? We talk about solving for y. Solve for y. Let's get that y by itself. Distribute the 2. So I got y minus 4 equals 2x plus 8. And now the y is not by itself yet, so I need to add 4 to both sides. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. That's going to get rid of that on the left side there. And we've got 2x plus 12. Now if you look at this, this fits the form y equals mx plus b. mx plus b. So this is my slope-intercept form. The y is now by itself. Slope-intercept form. Y equals 2x plus 12. 2x plus 12. So we started with 2 points and we worked our way around to get to 2x plus 12. Now, once again, we're going to talk about graphing these in future lessons. So we're just worried about getting there right now. Let's look at 2 more examples here. So before we started at 2 points and we worked our way down. Now, you'll see that this first one is in point slope form. It's in point slope form. So really, we've already done this one. And then the next one we're going to look at is standard form, where there's a little back channel where we can get back there, following the same solve by y process. So let's look at this one. We see that this one is in point slope form. So we want to solve for y. Now, don't fear the fraction. Welcome the fraction like a friend, right? So let's go ahead and distribute that. So this 3 over 2 times x is just going to be 3 over 2x. 3 over 2 times negative 4. 3 over 2 times 4. Okay, minus. So that makes it negative. So we're multiplying 3 over 2 times 4. Now when we multiply fractions, remember we multiply straight across. So this ultimately is going to land us at, I've got 3 over 2x minus, I've got 12 over 2, which can be reduced, 12 over 2, this can be reduced down to 2x minus 6. So now you've got this, the y is not by itself yet, so we're going to subtract 3 off of both sides, and y equals 3 over 2x minus 9. So I have this now in slope-intercept form. 3 over 2x minus 9. We did that. We solved for y up here. We recognize that we started in point slope form. started in point slope form and we worked our way down to slope intercept form. So this is something that we did up there when 2 points, we bypassed this, but we didn't necessarily look at something with a fraction up there. Now, last piece of the puzzle here is you notice we are starting in standard form. AX plus BY equals C. So we are starting in standard form, where over here we solve for Y to get to slope intercept form. It's going to be the same when we work backwards getting from here to here. Once again, we are going to solve for Y. So if we're starting at standard form and we want to end up in slope intercept form, we're going to solve for Y. Well, how do we do that? Get the Y by itself. So let's get that Y term and get rid of whatever's going on around it. We got to get rid of a 3x, so we're going to subtract a 3x from both sides. So now I have negative 9y equals negative 3x plus 18. That y is not by itself yet. We got to undo a times negative 9. So we're going to divide by negative 9. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. So I have a single y equals, I have negative 3 over 9. The negatives are going to cancel each other out, so it's a positive number, and 3 over 9 can be reduced to 1/3 x. And then I have plus 18 divided by negative 9, so that's going to give us a negative 2. So notice, in both situations here, when we went from point slope to slope intercept and standard form to slope intercept, what we did was we simply solved for y. We simply got that y by itself, and it takes the form y equals mx plus b.